Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Action Equalitea. My guest today is Rosie Chuong, who is the founder of API Curls, an online platform for Asian Pacific Islanders with curly hair. I asked her to come not just because she's a great friend of mine, but because she has an amazing story of self-acceptance and has actually gone through this journey of learning about this thing that most of us take for granted, which is her hair. I'm really excited to talk with her, so grab your pot of tea and your cup and let's get started. All right, well, thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited. Okay, so when I first met you, we've known each other for 3 years now?
Yeah.
Something like that. And I feel like, so I met you in 2017, I think. It has to have been at least 3 years.
2017 or 2018.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
But you had kind of just started on your curly hair journey, which I'll admit, as much as I love you and I respect the hell out of you, I didn't really get it because I'm an Asian person with straight hair, so hair isn't something that, it's not like an element of my identity that I've ever really worried about.
Mm-hmm.
So, could you tell me more about that journey and why you decided to document it and share it with people? Why was it important for you to share that?
So I was born with straight hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born with straight hair, and then I don't even know. Basically, overnight, my hair changed after I graduated high school.
Okay.
So when I attended college, literally, that was a new identity for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine having to go to college as a freshman, new city. I attended Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
I didn't really know anything about where I was moving. It was just a school that I got accepted into, and they had a program that I liked. I'm like, okay, I'll just move to Orange County. It's close enough to home.
Right.
I'll make it work. So I didn't know anything about Orange County or Fullerton.
Okay.
For all that. I was living with roommates. I didn't know any of those people. I met them through Facebook. Yeah.
I met my roommate through Facebook, so I get it. It's that's the new normal.
Yeah, I met them through Facebook through one of this random community group for freshmen at Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just you're starting this new life independently. It was the first time I ever lived outside of my parents' house. And I had a new identity, in terms of what my hair texture looks like.
Okay.
And so even though my hair texture changed pretty much overnight, my acceptance for my change didn't happen overnight. It actually took me almost 10 years for me to
10
embrace.
years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Okay.
So, and that's part of why I had to talk about it and had to, document my journey. Basically, when I moved to Pasadena a few years ago, my colleague Tiffany had super curly hair, the most beautiful curly hair. I always tell everybody that. And we talked about her taking care of her hair a few times, and I think from that relationship that I have with her, I was really curious about curly hair.
Okay.
Because before that, I didn't know how to care for curly hair. Nobody in my family knew. They just thought that
Is most of your family straight haired?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everybody has straight hair. So to them, my hair kind of seemed like an anomaly, and I think a lot of people treated the fact that I had curly hair as an anomaly.
Within your family?
Not just within my family. I think even in the community, they were just I've never seen an Asian person with curly hair.
Right.
And so we just thought it was just a rare occurrence. But in reality, there are a lot of people who are, identify as either Asian or Pacific Islander who have curly hair.
Right.
But most of us straighten our hairs out, based on all these beauty standards. So from that interaction with Tiffany and my relationship with her,
Mm-hmm.
as well as so I had a friend who wanted to learn how to cut hair.
Mm-hmm.
She was training at Spoken Will in Los Angeles.
Okay.
She had a curl cutting class, needed a volunteer, and reached out to me asking if I would be her volunteer to cut my hair. And I thought, okay, a free haircut, why not?
Yeah.
So
I feel like everyone in LA does that at some point in their life. I've done it.
Yeah, so from the education that I received from that curl cutting class,
Mm-hmm.
I just decided, well, why not? Like, why don't I just try to embrace my hair and like learn a little bit more about it?
Well, and you, I have other friends who have curly hair that aren't Asian, but they're very particular about who they go to
Yeah.
cut their hair. Like it's a whole other technique, education, specialty. It's a specialty to cut curly hair. So, anyways, continue. Sorry.
No, exactly, and I think we can talk about that too. How because it's a specialty, not everybody receives that training, but shouldn't everybody receive that training? Like, why does it have to be that special?
Well, and you have to pay more for it.
You have to pay more for it. I mean, we can go on. That's a different tangent, but yeah, that particular year, I had been managing my blog for about 5-6 years already.
Okay.
At the time when I started my blog, it was just me putting a bunch of pretty photos together, like basically a blog in the form of a mood board.
Okay.
And that year, that summer, a brand reached out to me wanting to do a fashion collaboration, and I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did the photo shoot here in Pasadena.
Okay.
And because I was living here at the time, I had such a great time doing it. And I thought, well, I could do more of this. I think it was just like the fact that I got to express myself in a different way, that I thought, okay, like I'll do more of this. So a month after that collaboration, my brother passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he, in my adult life, like he was the first person that I had ever had to experience losing. And like being part of like his funeral ceremony and a celebration of his life, it was very interesting because, you know, I had never been a part of that, and where I played a role was my siblings had me write out the eulogy, help with the program and the script and like the agenda for the day.
Okay.
And they also helped assisted like my sister to like read whatever we had written for him at the celebration of his life. And it was like a really rude awakening because like at that moment I realized, wow, I have like these underutilized skills that I've always known about, that I know are my skills, but here I am using it for my brother's funeral.
Yeah.
So then I just realized, you know, I can do so much more with me and with my life, with my skills. So when I came back from Georgia, which is where we held his ceremony, because that's where he wrote most of his life.
Okay.
I decided, okay, like if I'm going to take this blog a little bit more seriously, like what is the story that I wanted to tell? And I figured, well, like I'm already trying to embrace my natural curls, and there's a reason why it took me so long to do it. Why don't I just document that?
Yeah.
So when I wanted to document it, I figured, okay, I want to record a video about it, and in addition to the video, I'll do the blog. And that was a way for me to make the content accessible. You know, if someone can't read something, they can hear it, they can see it. So that's why I had both, and the video really took off. So that's where I am today.
Okay. That's amazing. I love that. So something I have noticed you talk about a lot also is representation. So can you describe what that means? Like, so representation like in mainstream media, or is it like representation in culture? Like what exactly is that you're referring to when you talk about representation?
That's a really good question because I think that people can use the word representation in so many contexts.
Yeah.
But it might mean differently depending on like what the initiative is. So for me and with what I'm doing with API Curls, representation, it's almost tenfold, right? So we're talking about representation within the actual API community, right?
Okay.
So when we think about curly hair, going back to what I said earlier, like people just think, oh, it's an anomaly. Like you just have curly hair because you just so happen to have like a set of genes that made you this way. There's nothing normal about an Asian woman with curly hair. But the reality is that any one of us can have curly hair. The reason why you don't see it as often is because there are these beauty standards that are perpetuated by the media. So representation, when I talk about that, yes, I do mean it within like our own like our own Asian or API communities, but then also on another level, it's also within like the media. why is it that the media is perpetuating certain agendas in terms of like Eurocentric
Right, the
beauty
like the
standards?
straight silky hair, like
Exactly.
I think Black culture also has that experience, right? Like where they like was it straight perms
Yeah, yeah.
where they'll do that, and
Yeah.
it sounds
Relaxers.
yeah. Do Asian people go through the same thing? I'm assuming.
Oh, that's a really good question. So I think that I think a lot of people do choose to do straightening perms. So in my experiences, my mother, like ever since college, when I would come home, she would ask me like, "Why don't you just get like a Japanese straightening perm?" And like that was the stereotypical Asian mother. Like if it's not your body size, it's your skin color.
It's something.
Yeah, it's always something.
Like they show love through criticizing. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was my hair. Like that was the one thing she would always comment on. So my mom was telling me to get it straightened through like a permanent kind of straightening. When I went to Cambodia, that was the only thing that my relatives knew. They were just like, well, we don't know what else to do with your hair other than to straighten it. So I do think that a lot of people within our community have the pressure to straighten out their hair if it's too frizzy.
Okay.
Because the reality is that frizz is a sign that you probably don't have straight hair.
Right.
That you probably have like wavy hair or curly hair.
Right.
So to address frizziness, we automatically assume that like, oh, we just need to like straighten it.
Yeah, we need to flatten it out, like literally, smooth it out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, speaking of API curls, congratulations on launching it. Like, I was like, it was so nice to see that like come up, and I was so proud to like see like you building that and having success with it. But tell me, what exactly is the platform?
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope to achieve through? Like, what exactly is like, what's it for?
So what I like to say for our mission is API Curls is an online platform and an offline movement.
Okay.
Empowering individuals in the API community to embrace their natural hair patterns and textures. And we do that in 3 ways.
Mm-hmm.
The first way is I say 3 pillars. So the first pillar is to get people to commit. We convince people to commit to like embracing their natural hair textures. And that's a really big commitment.
I was
right?
gonna say, like, that's so interesting. That's so interesting that you have to say that. Like, you have to convince someone to embrace their hair. Like, it's because like,
That's
but
true.
I mean, again, like, it's again, I'm coming from, I guess, in a way, like a place of privilege because I don't have to worry about that. Like, I wash my hair and I leave it. I don't do anything with it. Really, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw me straighten it earlier, but that's just so it doesn't like because otherwise I get like. I had hair earlier, so, but other than that, like, I personally can't imagine having to think like that.
And I love that we're having this conversation because like when I wrote out the 3 pillars, I'm only writing it in the perspective of like, what did I have to go through in order to make this happen, in order for me to like learn all of these things. And so when I use the word commit, that is very strong. It's a very aggressive term. So
But aggressive in a good way, I feel like. Because it's like, because again, it's like, you're not telling someone they're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, it's more about like, I want to, or like you're showing them like, or it's, I don't know how to put it. It's like, it's not just like, you're not showing them like the way to do it. It's just like here's a way to really embrace yourself. Like, and if this is something that does, like, you think of as a nuisance, I want to show you that it's not.
Yeah.
Which I think is really profound.
Well, and I think that like, when we talk about the concept of a journey or transformation, that's why we say it's committal. Like there are things that you're gonna have to give up and things that you're gonna have to do in order for you to see yourself through this. Things like not having to use a heat styling tool like a straightener or a curling iron for an extended period of time until you start to see the results that you want in your hair. Things like coloring your hair, because that can also damage curl pattern. So
So many like technical things that like I've never had to like.
So yeah, I think commit is the appropriate term to use, but I think from this conversation I'm learning, wow, that is a very strong word to use.
Yeah, I mean, like, but again, it's not like, not in a bad way. It's just like, oh, like I would never, like I wouldn't personally have to like think of it that way. But I also don't have to go into that journey. So like it's not something that it really affects me in that way.
So the second pillar is share.
Okay.
our community is about sharing stories, because our stories are what makes up the community. It's what makes up the experiences. The third pillar is the challenge. So not only are we gonna have you commit to this, but we're gonna have to challenge you. There are different levels of challenging, right? Like we have these creative content series. One is called the Commit to Your Curls Club. The other one is Headliner, where we're thinking of like different prompts to get you to think about something, to get you to explore and go through your healthy hair journey in such a way that makes it enjoyable and a positive experience. Usually the prompts are really fun, but sometimes I'll throw in something there that's a little bit more serious. Takes a while for people to get comfortable with some of the serious topics that I throw out. But the point is to challenge you to really show up for the community. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is like, it is a community. It's not like it's not an education, or like it's not like it's not school.
That's a really great question. For now, it's not school, but there is an educational component to what we do in terms of like the content that we're building and that we're putting forth towards the community. So with our content series Headliner, I think that's where a lot of the education is coming from. So each person that gets spotlighted through Headliner, we do something creative together as a content collaboration. This first one that we did with Flo, that was pretty educational in the sense that we thought about like if somebody wanted to become an influencer or a content creator who had curly hair, what are the tools that they need to make that happen? Another person that I'm working with for Headliner, we're creating a list of resources for how to start a curly girl movement in your country.
Oh, cute.
Or your area.
Okay.
And then the other one is about like where to purchase curly hair products online based on the country that you're living in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm just curious, what exactly would you say is the main goal of your platform?
The main goal of the platform for now would be awareness, bringing awareness to the community, but also just providing a safe space for individuals in our community to embrace themselves and talk about their experiences. Okay.
And have you what is the what has the feedback been? Has it
super positive?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Have you been finding a lot of people with similar stories and experiences of
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Before I started API Curls as a separate platform, I was receiving a lot of messages privately from people who had seen my video or had seen the blog post or just seen my social feed. And it was just like, hey, you look like me, but with curly hair. And
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. So I've received a lot of those messages, and those messages and those people are the reason why I decided API Curls needs to stand on its own platform. It needs to be something else, and I want to be able to fuel that initiative.
That's great. Oh my god, that's so amazing. Again, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You really are someone that I admire, and I love that even though this is something that I think a lot of people can't relate with, it's still it's something that a lot of people don't know that it's not available to people, and like you said, curly hair is I mean, for you at least, it was something that people didn't really necessarily embrace at first, and so I think that's really amazing that you're building this for other people, and I'm so excited to see it grow.
Same here.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Rosie for coming out and having tea with me. I'm so proud of you and so excited to see your platform grow and just see what becomes of it. If you'd like to know more about API Curls and how to get involved or start a curly hair journey of your own, please visit her at apicurls.com or at API Curls on all social media. With that, thank you guys again so much for coming, and I can't wait to sip again with you next week.